No. No. Oh, hi. I was just going through my Wii U collection. And with the release of the Switch 2 on June 5th, 2025, I decided to take a look at the not as popular Wii U. And pick the one game out of the over 150 Wii U games that were released in North America that makes it the only reason to own a vanilla Wii U in 2025. And after much deliberation, ladies and gentlemen, the only reason to own a Wii U is... Wait, huh? That's not right. Hold on. No. Where is it? No. Where is it? This can't be happening. No. Is it up here? No, I can't find it. No. That was close. Hi, I'm Klubb, and welcome to... Wait a minute. It was a fake? Alright, let me be frank. The Wii U was not only a commercial failure, but a lot of the games, and I do mean a lot of them, were hot garbage. But that doesn't mean that they were all bad. In fact, there were a nice handful of games for the Wii U that were pretty good, if not amazing. But let me be more frank, most of them, you don't even need this thing anymore to play a lot of them.
Mario Kart 8, Pokken Tournament, Wonderful 101, Bayonetta 2, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, Hyrule Warriors, New Super Mario Bros. U, Pikmin 3, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Super Mario 3D World. This is just a small list of games that got released to the Switch after the failure of the Wii U. And this isn't even including games that got ported to the 3DS or got sequels that made the original games obsolete, like Yoshi's Woolly World or Super Mario Maker. The thing that killed the Wii U, other than their terrible marketing, was the inclusion of the gamepad. A great idea in practice and fun when implemented right, but it forced developers to implement the use of it, either by adding some arbitrary gimmick or making it nothing more than another way to look at your inventory and or map.
But regardless of how big of a flop this thing was, I still have a bit of a soft spot for it since it was the first console I ever bought with my own money, and with the Switch 2's release, it's put me in a bit of a nostalgic mood. So I wanted to check out, in my opinion, the only reason to own a Wii U, Nintendo Land.
Provided that you don't know how to homebrew your own console and you don't want to play any of the other great or not so great games on the Wii U, such as, and not limited to, Star Fox Zero, Paper Mario Color Splash, Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, Sonic Lost World, Game & Wario, The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker HD, and The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, and the ones and ones of others. Development of Nintendo Land, along with the development of the Wii U as a whole, started just a little after the release of Wii Sports Resort. Produced by Katsuya Iguchi and directed by Yoshikazu Yamashita and Takayuki Shimomura, Nintendo Land mostly started as an experiment of what the Wii U was going to be, with a lot of focus on gyro controls. They had created an odd prototype Wii Zapper with a screen attached to the end of it that contained a gyroscope in it. That way, when they moved the Wii Zapper, what you saw on the screen would move as well. The internal team loved this concept and took it one step closer, which led to the eventual Wii U gamepad prototype, which was literally two Wii remotes strapped to a gyro-controlled screen. This prototype is what led to the eventual creation of Nintendo Land and set them down the path to create the Wii U. They wanted the game to accomplish what Wii Sports did, which was to demonstrate this new form of gaming in the most fun way possible. And while they found the idea of motion controls in sports to be a great fit, they had a hard time coming up with ideas for a separate screen and gyro controls. That is until an unnamed staff member had the great idea of bringing a bunch of Nintendo IPs together for one game and took it a step further by suggesting a theme park-like aesthetic. They took that idea and experimented around with it, giving it catchphrases like, "Nintendo Land is now open in your living room."
What are you doing in my house? Here!
Where's my spaghetti?
During the creation of the different games of Nintendo Land, they had to get the approval of the many different directors, designers, and producers that worked on the original games that were being featured. The team wanted the design to follow function, and this led to several points in creation where they were worried the original creator would be upset with a decision they made. For example, dressing up your Miis like Mario or giving your Samus Mii a number on their back to indicate how much health it has. Something the designer of Metroid, Yoshi Sakamoto, responded by saying, "That's fine." A relief to the rest of the team. Where there was a bit more pushback was with Animal Crossing, ironically, as the original director of Animal Crossing was also the producer of Nintendo Land. He at first was mad, saying it wasn't Animal Crossing anymore, but Sweets Crossing. But over time, he grew to love the game, and was at least happy that they had animal headgears on. He even thought it was funny that their heads got bigger as they ate candy, something that was designed by a programmer to make it easier for players to see their characters. This ultimately made it into the final release because everyone thought it was funnier and easier to understand the slowdown rule of having too much candy.
But after several years of development on not only this, but also the Wii U, Nintendo Land released on November 18th, 2012 in North America, later releasing on November 30th in Europe and December 8th in Japan. The game could be bought standalone, or if you bought a deluxe Wii U, like I did, Nintendo Land would come with it. And boy oh boy, did I ever play this game to death when I got it. Honestly, probably a little bit more than Wii Sports. Heck, I'd even wager I played it more than Candace Cain's Candy Factory.
Hello, dearie. Here you go.
I mean, how can you not just get lost in this for hours? Booting straight into the game, you're presented with your tutorial giver, some people's girlfriend, and the host of Nintendo Land, Monita. When designing Monita for the game, they liked the idea of using both your TV's audio and your gamepad's audio to direct your eyes to different screens, but they wanted that voice to have a personality and appearance. Since both instances caused you to look at a screen, their immediate thought was to personify that. Thus, Monita was born. Other parts of her design, like her 3 fingers, was because they wanted her to be able to count to 3 for games. She was quite literally born from a function needed for the game. They landed on a female voice for Monita because she was, quote, sort of our poster girl. And as robotic and plain as she is, I quite like Monita. Her design and usefulness as a tutorial for the player is charming. Plus, she'll even make appearances in several different games, donning different attire for the respective games. She never comes off as annoying as other tutorial characters Nintendo has made, and this honestly might have been the start of Nintendo realizing that their player base doesn't need their handheld as much as they thought they did.
Man, having a personified screen to talk to would be the coolest. Don't you agree, Mr. Monitor? What? No, I... Mr. Monitor, I would go to jail. Mr. Monitor, what if I get caught? Mr. Monitor, no!
With Monita serving as a personified screen, it's worth mentioning that while one of the major points of this game is to serve as just a fun game, I would say the overall point of the game is to showcase what the gamepad can do, and multiple different implementations a game designer could do to make a fun game with the gamepad. And I gotta say, I think this game 100% accomplishes that goal. There are a few moments where I wish they would have held back with the gamepad stuff just a little, like how the camera moves all over the place based on how you're holding the gamepad, but for the most part, every single way they implement the gamepad is an absolute blast to play through. And each of those games you can play through are what this game calls attractions. Fitting for a Nintendo Land. There are 12 attractions in total, 6 solo player games and 6 multiplayer games, 3 of which are team co-op style games and the other 3 are competitive, all of which are based off a variety of different Nintendo IP. Some you most likely have heard of, and some that may be a little niche to a casual player, but every single one of them are fun in their own way. But just outside of those attractions, the main hub of Nintendo Land, the Plaza. Here you can find a variety of different Miis of real people from around the world walking around. During the Wii U era, Nintendo came up with one of the best non-game related inventions they have ever made, Miiverse. It was essentially a social media completely localized within the Wii U and 3DS where you could leave posts or drawings on games, and people could see them as they played the games themselves. It was one of the most fun things Nintendo had done, but unfortunately they didn't bring it back with the Switch and completely cut the servers on the Wii U and 3DS on November 8th, 2017.
Everyone was pretty upset about this, since Miiverse was a pretty thriving place for fans to form hyper-specific communities about the games they love. That's where Pretendo comes in, and I have to give them a shout out here. They are hosting their own mock Nintendo servers to make it possible for you to not only post on their version of Miiverse, but you also have the ability to play online games like Splatoon again on your Wii U. So, to the team at Pretendo, thank you for keeping our nostalgia and our childhoods alive.
Because my Wii U experiences wouldn't be the same without seeing things like this and this while I play these games. But outside of stupid posts, the Mii's serve another purpose. Assuming this works if you don't have Miiverse set up, on the left side of the screen you'll find specific Miis to look for around the plaza. Finding them will reward you with coins, which are the main currency you're rewarded for playing the attractions of Nintendo Land. Those coins can in turn be used at the central tower to play a game to win prizes. To us Americans, this game is reminiscent of Plinko from The Price is Right, but it's actually inspired by pachinko machines, a super popular form of totally not gambling in Japan. In the coin game, you use your coins to try to get them to drop down to light up all the circles located on the board. Doing so will unlock a variety of collectibles based on the different attractions located in Nintendo Land. They don't do a whole lot. Some are different songs you can listen to, some will interact with the plaza in some goofy way, but most of them will just give you a little factoid about the item and what its purpose is in the game it originated from. And you better believe that I collected every single last one of them.
Why am I like this?
There is zero reason to collect all of the prizes in the game, yet I still felt the need to collect them all. But I can't say I felt the same way about the stamps in the game, Nintendo Land's achievement system. Each attraction has 5 different stamps for you to collect, that range from asking you to do something as easy as collecting 100 rupees total in the Zelda attraction, to doing something as impossible as completing every F-Zero area without crashing into anything a single time, which wasn't going to happen. So I abandoned the thought of actually 100%ing this game the moment I realized how impossible it was going to be.
Special delivery.
Oh, for me? Huh. Oh, it's a YouTube comment. To Klubb from Game Master 42069. Huh. This is what I get for reading every comment.
I did, however, at least go through the trouble of playing this game as if I was playing it for the first time, which means I had to delete all my old save files to make that possible, which is almost as hard as throwing away all of my old electronic boxes.
But what if I need them for something?
I probably could have just used my wife's Wii U that didn't have a Nintendo Land save file, but I didn't think of that until it was too late, so goodbye memories! Doing that allowed me to go for what's actually considered beating the game, collecting stars on every attraction. You see, each attraction has a hidden objective, and once you've met that objective, Monita will mark that attraction with a star, and once you've collected all of them, the credits will roll and you've technically beaten the game. Although out of all of these challenges I have listed here, I think the hardest one of them all is going to be the multiplayer only games. It may say play the attraction 30 times, but it might as well say have friends. So let's ignore that for now and only focus on the solo games.
Captain Falcon's Twister Race is based on the series F-Zero, a series that hardly gets any love from Nintendo. It's taken them almost 20 years to release anything new, finally releasing F-Zero 99 in 2023. Don't know what happened to the other 94 F-Zero games, but maybe they'll release them someday.
The original F-Zero is the perfect hand your brother an unplugged controller and tell him he's playing game, since the whole thing is single player, and the same applies here. In Captain Falcon's Twister Race, you're tasked with... wait a minute, is that me? No, not the me of me, the me above my me of me on the screen. That's me! So yeah, the Wii U gamepad has a camera on it, so in almost all this footage, you get to see me mugging the camera while I'm focusing.
I could digitally add myself into all these shots and posts, but I don't hate future Klubb enough yet to make him do that, so you're stuck with past Klubb.
And while we're talking about recording anomalies, it's worth noting that since this is a Wii U game, the entire time I'm playing these games, I'm looking at the gamepad for the most part. But when it comes to recording footage, I'm recording what's seen on the TV. And while in some instances that's fine and shouldn't be a problem, there are some times where it's kinda hard to grasp the concept of the game without knowing what I'm looking at. So I did find a way to capture some gamepad footage, I just wasn't able to capture them at the same time, so the visuals will never line up. With that out of the way, in Captain Falcon's Twister Race, you hold the gamepad vertically and navigate the Blue Falcon through a series of obstacles by tilting the gamepad like a steering wheel. I believe they intended for you to stare at the gamepad for the majority of this, but I always found it way harder since you couldn't see what was coming your way, and I opted to watch the TV instead, especially since there are a lot of hidden power-ups you can get that are hidden unless you look at the TV. And you're going to need those power-ups because this game is brutally difficult. It's a game of endurance. You need to make it to each checkpoint before running out of time. The Blue Falcon is constantly going top speed without pressing any input, so speed isn't the problem. It's the many obstacles you keep running into that will kill your run.
What was that?
Don't worry about it, I'm going for a new PB.
Okay.
Not to mention the bombs that will just instantly kill you if you run into them. This is not a short game, and the bombs don't show up until pretty late into a run. And if you hit one once, it's game over.
back to the beginning.
And that's how all these solo attractions are. You're not really moving forward in some sort of campaign or anything like that. Your one and only goal is to set a high score. Nothing more, nothing less. It's really hard to do that when this damn thing won't stop disconnecting while I'm trying to play this game!
I am literally sitting in front of the Wii U! Why does it keep disconnecting? This doesn't happen very often in any other attraction. I don't know if it's because I'm holding it vertically or what, but it was constantly happening while playing this one specifically. And anytime it does happen, it wants you to lay your gamepad down on a flat surface to fix the gyroscope. And once it's fixed, it throws you right back into the game without pausing! Stop doing this to me, Captain Falcon, so I can just beat your stupid game and go on to the next one! The game is already hard enough, but this made it way more stressful and unfun for me to play. But despite that, I had to just grit my teeth and get through the 12 areas if I wanted to unlock the star, which I did. It took a little time and determination, but I was able to— There's more levels past this? You know what? Despite my frustrations, I actually like this. You see, most of the attractions do this. If you beat the first set of levels, it unlocks a whole new set of levels that are much harder. Granted, in order for you to get there, you have to beat the first set of levels again, but it adds a challenge and a much needed amount of replayability that I can appreciate. I lost immediately because the controller disconnected again. Okay, it may have a lot of replayability for a solo player game, but I don't think I'll be seeking any out.
Special delivery!
Again? Huh. Oh, it's laminated. Huh. To Klubb from Game Master for 2069. You did not do everything if you didn't force yourself to beat the harder stages. Also, I don't think I can say that on YouTube. You know, it's people like you that make me not want to read the comments. I'm trying my best, okay? Donkey Kong's Crash Course is inspired by the OG Donkey Kong arcade game from 1981 that eventually made its way onto the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1983. And I love Donkey Kong's Crash Course. I know it's one of the harder ones that people have trouble with, but I practiced this one so much as a kid that playing this again was like riding a bike. I don't know how to ride a bike. But I'm determined, and the muscle memory did eventually kick in. This one is all about motion controls. You're controlling a tiny triangle spring man and tilting the gamepad left and right to make your little man roll forward. However, if you make the slightest of errors and send your guy flying, you lose a life. Your goal is to safely navigate yourself all the way to the end without losing all your lives. And this can be pretty difficult for first-time players, especially if you don't have a full grasp on motion controls, since the gamepad is pretty sensitive. I know a lot of people who struggle with this one, and I completely sympathize with you, but in all honesty, this one's one of my favorites. Mastering this game in the past is what I think made me prefer gyro controls for future titles like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. But yet again, I completely understand people's distaste for it, and this attraction can fuel that hate even further. But on top of having to tilt the gamepad left and right, you'll also be pressing buttons, turning the analog sticks, and even blowing into the microphone to help your little man make it to the end. You can even press the Y button to reset yourself to keep yourself from losing a life if you ever get stuck, something I don't think most players knew about. And after playing this over and over and over again and getting faster and faster and faster, all these different actions culminate together to make me feel like the very embodiment of a gamer. But all that comes crumbling when it comes to the extra levels, quite literally too. I may have mastered the first level and can handle it no problem, but I was only able to beat the second level once, and there are a total of 4 different levels, 2 of which I've never even seen. And this brings up another issue I have with the way Nintendo Land handles the different levels for the solo attractions. I briefly mentioned it in the last attraction, but there is no level select for these. If you want to practice the second level, you have to beat the first one first, which isn't a problem for me, it's just a bit of a nuisance. And to somebody who isn't particularly good at this attraction, it could be a complete turnoff to experiencing anything else the attraction has to offer. And that's not even mentioning the fact that once you beat one of the levels for the first time, it boots you out of the game completely, no matter how good you did. So some people may think there's no more past what they played. I know I did when I was younger, so it wouldn't surprise me if people are learning now that not only does this attraction have more levels, but so do the others. Granted, they're stupid difficult, but they're there nonetheless. I just think they could have done a better job of letting the player know
know that there were more levels, or at least give them a level select so we didn't have to trudge through the previous ones just to experience it. But playing the devil's advocate here, this might have been by design to have friends and family battle over who has the highest score in their household.
Despite that, as hard as it is, Donkey Kong's Crash Course is still one of my favorite solo attractions in Nintendo Land. Beating that first level as fast as I can feels so good, and the theming around it is even better. The skill ceiling feels a little high, and it's pretty hard for me to beat anything past the first level, but at least I'm better at it than I am the original.
Special delivery.
Oh. Thank you. Oh, is this from Game Master again? Oh, no, it's for my Donkey Kong bit. Oh boy. What? Man, they got the letters wrong. I bet you're wondering how I got here. A ninja never reveals his tricks. Or was that a mathematician?
Takamaru's Ninja Castle is based off the mysterious Murasame Castle, a Japanese-only game released in 1986 for the Famicom. Nintendo has a weird affinity for this game. They like to pull it out and use it at the most random times, which seems odd to me since it was only released in Japan and they have a massive library of franchises to pull from.
All right, team. We need one more game to be featured in Nintendo Land. Any ideas?
Feet, foot feet. Get in here and kick your feet.
What about those? Nah, those suck. Anyone else? What about you? I mean, I can think of one.
Regardless of their weird choice, this attraction is actually pretty fun. You hold the gamepad vertically and aim it at the TV, using your finger to swipe across the screen to throw ninja stars onto the TV to take out ninjas. It's one of the more clever uses of the gamepad and does a really good job of showcasing one of the very many creative things you can do with the gamepad. As the game progresses, a variety of different ninjas will start showing up, ones that take more hits, or ones that start throwing bombs, or even some that will deflect your stars and you instead have to attack them when they get close to you. You can even get upgrades as you get further, like the ability to throw bombs yourself.
This attraction is incredibly impressive when it comes to creative uses for this thing. It's a bit of a shame that we don't see a lot more uses similar to this in future games. It's sad to say, I think the creative usefulness for the Wii U peaked with Nintendo Land, which is especially sad since this was a launch title.
This attraction does have one glaring problem though, and that's the actual action of swiping itself. It gets tiring making a swiping motion over and over and over again, and I could only play this game a few times before I had to take a break and come back to it. But overall, I find that to be the only real problem with the game. It's not too difficult, and it's even got a boss fight at the end if you make it all the way there, which feels like a lot more rewarding of an end than some of these other solo attractions. And the extra level is so secret, I didn't even know it existed until I was writing for this video. Apparently, if you attack Monita after defeating the boss, it's not the real Monita, but a disguise. Attacking the disguised enemy will trigger the next level similar to the other solo attractions, which I think is so cool. At first I was a little annoyed by how well this was hidden, but then I realized that they kinda straight up tell you whenever you beat it the first time. Then I felt a little dumb.
Oh man, my ice cream's too cold. Oh, I have an idea.
And I'd be completely remiss if I didn't mention the incredible soundtrack. It absolutely slaps and caused younger me to look into the music of the original game. It's actually insane how good the music is in the original mysterious Murasame Castle, and they did a phenomenal job adapting it for Nintendo Land. And I'd say the same about pretty much all of the music in this game. Every remix and redesign of the music in this game complements the original game it originated from brilliantly. I'd love to play some of it here, but if I did that...
YouTube police, put your hands up!
Regardless, I feel like Takamaru's Ninja Castle is all around the better solo attraction. I feel like people will have a much better experience playing this game over some of the other solo attractions. It feels way more balanced, more fun, and for sure feels like the most creative use of what the Wii U could do. It's a shame we didn't get any more creative ideas for the gamepad outside of this attraction, but at least we know we're in for a few more treats inside of Nintendo Land. Alright, I wouldn't really call this game the epitome of creativity. I mean, how does someone see this and think, oh, I've got it!
And you guys thought I would never talk about rhythm games again.
Yeah, so Octopus Dance is inspired by the Game & Watch game Octopus, of all things. Sure, yeah, they couldn't have possibly done Kirby or Star Fox, but Game & Watch? Yeah, nothing screams rhythm game like this. In all honesty, this doesn't really come off as a rhythm game, but more like a game of Simon Says. Your goal is to mimic the movements of the diver on screen by moving your analog sticks in the direction of his hands, tilting the gamepad when he tilts, and shaking the gamepad when he jumps to the beat of the song. And this thing gets insanely hard. It'll get faster, they'll flip you around so the controls are inverted, and they'll even spray your gamepad with ink so you can't see the uninverted controls. It is by far my least favorite attraction in Nintendo Land, and despite that, I beat it on my first try and got the best trophy you can get on an attraction. And of course there's an extra level, but I never felt the need to try and get to it and beat it since you have to play through the entirety of Octopus Dance again just to get there. It's just way too stressful and not fun for me.
So yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about this one. The theming sucks, it's way more stressful than it is fun, and while there is replayability since the moves the diver does are random, I felt little to no desire to play this game more than once other than to get footage.
Special delivery.
Thanks. I can only imagine. To Klubb from Game Master for 2069. Yeah, no, I can't show this on YouTube.
Balloon Trip Breeze is based on Balloon Fight, an arcade game from 1984 that was ported to the NES in 1985, and another prime example of Nintendo not remembering half of their own IP.
Man, we just don't have anything to play.
Balloon Trip Breeze specifically is based on the Balloon Trip mode from the original game, where you're floating using balloons trying to survive as long as you can, auto-scrolling through a barrage of obstacles. It's just a high-score game, how most of them were back in the day, and the Nintendo Land version is incredibly similar. The biggest difference is instead of tapping a button to cause your character to float, you are instead swiping on your gamepad to create breezes to help guide your character around the spikes, enemies, and other obstacles that may come your way. I really like this one. It's just challenging enough to keep me on my toes, but not too hard that I was having a hard time with it. Popping balloons will net you extra points, and if you start a balloon popping streak, the balloons will start giving you more points until you either break that streak or lose a life. In comparison to the game it's based off of, this attraction is super responsive. The controls feel really good. It can be a bit frantic at times, but I never felt like there was a moment where it was unfair or the game was cheating me. And that, tied with how well it controls, makes for a very fun game in my opinion. As fun as it is though, I find the theming to be a bit lackluster. Even something as infuriating as Donkey Kong's Crash Course or Captain Falcon's Twister Race is at least fun to look at because it's based on an IP I know. What the heck is a balloon fight? I never heard of it until Nintendo Land, and trying it out for the first time explains why I never have.
Maybe I'm looking too into this. Maybe I need to immerse myself into Balloon Fight. Yeah, that's it! Oh, I've got an idea! 1, 2, 3! Wow, this is amazing! I can't believe I didn't get it. This is the best thing ever! I finally get it now! Balloon Fight is awesome! Yoshi's Fruit Cart is based on, obviously, the Yoshi series, taking heavy inspiration from games like Yoshi's Story, and Yoshi's Fruit Cart is an absolute delight.
I mean, this game is just so darn precious, fun, and creative to boot. It focuses around a little robo-Yoshi that you control. When you look at the TV, you'll see a bunch of fruit that you need to have that Yoshi eat and a door for him to exit through. But to eat that fruit and to go through that door, you have to draw a path for him to walk through using the gamepad. However, the gamepad doesn't show the fruit on it at all. You have to use the various patterns on the ground to try and figure out the best route for Yoshi to take in order for him to eat all the fruit and make it through the door. Because if you miss a single fruit, the door won't open. But there's so much more to it than that. You have a meter at the bottom that shows how much energy Yoshi has, which refills when he eats fruit. This is to prevent you from spamming a line on your gamepad. And that's not even mentioning the variety of different obstacles you have to avoid that aren't on your gamepad either, like holes, numbered fruit, and the bees! Not the bees! Ah! But the amount of replayability for Yoshi's Fruit Cart far surpasses any of the other solo attractions. Replaying the game gives you slight variations in every stage, and even better, it gives you the ability to use warp gates that will take you to future levels. Something I wish they could have implemented into something like Captain Falcon's Twister Race or Donkey Kong Crash Course to keep me from having to repeat something I've already played to play something new.
And that's a huge plus when it comes to Yoshi's Fruit Cart. I wouldn't particularly say that the slight variations in levels makes it the most replayable thing ever, but it's sure of a heck lot better than there being absolutely no variations in previous solo attractions.
And similar to Takamaru's Ninja Castle, this idea for the gamepad is actually genius. What a fun and clever use for the asymmetrical gameplay of the Wii U. I know I keep bringing it up, but it's incredibly depressing to relive what I felt when I first played the Wii U. I saw the potential of what the Wii U could do when I was growing up. Playing all these different attractions in Nintendo Land painted a picture of what I thought we would be getting with future Wii U games, providing several different uses for the gamepad. But we didn't get that, and people had to find new ways to use the gamepad. Like a paperweight, a coaster, a frisbee, a shoe, a doorstop, a bowl, a piñata, a bulletproof vest, a hammer, a nail, and don't forget a speed bump. But with that, that's every single solo attraction. An all-around mixed bag ranging wildly in the fun and not so fun to the creative and not so creative attractions. I think it's fair to say that the solo attractions are the lowest point of Nintendo Land, but thankfully we're done with those and jumping right into the team attractions. I believe these are mostly intended to be played with other people, but I'm scared of other people and these can be played solo.
Metroid Blast is based on, you guessed it, the Metroid series, which started with Metroid for the NES in 1987 and the Famicom in 1986. Metroid, being a sci-fi themed game, had you battling a variety of different space creatures as the one and only Samus Aran, and Metroid Blast is no different. So, let me take you to the outer reaches of the galaxy as we play Metroid Blast.
Okay, maybe just a little too literal there. This attraction reminds me a lot of Star Fox Zero, another space-themed game by Nintendo. It was one of the bigger projects Shigeru Miyamoto was pushing for with the Wii U, and one I actually enjoyed when it came out, even though I'm pretty sure it killed the Star Fox franchise. Metroid Blast feels like a sort of prototype to Star Fox Zero. Using the gamepad, you pilot a gunship that is locked to the gyroscope on your gamepad, meaning in order for you to aim, you need to literally move your gamepad around. You can of course use your analog sticks to move as well, but in order to hit things fast enough, the game is designed around using the gyroscope.
And I think this sort of gameplay is really engaging. It's pretty similar to the prototype I mentioned earlier in the video. The responsiveness of quickly looking around and firing is super satisfying, although it's pretty tiring. If you get tired easily or have terrible dexterity, you're probably not going to have a very good time.
What does a 1 get me?
You died.
Oh.
These team attractions have so much meat to them. Each of them have 2 separate modes that then have 2 different ways to play. One mode will always be some sort of competitive mode intended for multiplayer, and the other will be a cooperative mode intended for either a solo player or multiplayer. And then both of those modes you choose whether you want to play with a gamepad or the Wii remote. And while I had the option to run through the cooperative solo mode with a Wii remote, I felt that the intended way to play anything solo was with the gamepad. So that's how I played all of these. And each of these cooperative modes are dense with gameplay. They're practically a whole other game inside of Nintendo Land, housing several different levels for you to take on. We're no longer trying to get a high score like in solo attractions, we're trying to beat a whole game here. And with Metroid Blast specifically, it houses 20 levels with 10 extra levels in its cooperative mode, Assault Mission. And while I had no intention of trying to do the extra levels for the solo attractions, these team attractions are so fun and engaging that I wanted to do everything these had to offer, especially since it only took me about 3 hours to beat everything here. In Assault Mission, each level can have a variety of different goals. Most of them will task you with taking down a specified number of enemies, but there's way more variety outside of that. There could be missions that ask you to collect coins within a certain amount of time that are hidden on the map, missions where you need to defend helpless Miis for an allotted amount of time. There's even full-on boss fights against Ridley and Kraid, and these fights are no joke. You'll be needing to make quick decisions and reactions in these fast-paced battles that feels epic in scope, but I'm sure to an outsider looking in makes you look like an idiot. The extra missions are no joke joke either, throwing some of the harder missions in the game at you. Missions like protecting your Miis becomes a stress-inducing nightmare, and taking out all of the enemies is more like trying not to get sniped out of the air for 10 minutes while you slowly pick off the weaker ones. And the boss fights on the extra missions. Oh, the boss fights. A fight against Kraid and Ridley? You thought the fight against regular Ridley was hard, but wait until you...
Call right now and we'll throw in an extra Ridley at no charge. Not 1, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 11, but 2 Ridleys ready to beat you down. No strings attached whatsoever. And if you call right now within the next 30 minutes, we'll even throw in seasonal depression at no extra cost towards you.
I have never been more stressed out playing a Nintendo game, and I've played Animal Crossing New Horizons, okay? How am I going to pay off all my loans to this stupid crook if all I can do to pay it off is fish and pull weeds?
Regardless, I still beat it, and it was so much fun. I really liked this one. And as a kid, I was only really interested in the multiplayer attractions, so I never really paid any attention to these. But I'm really glad I did now. The gamepad makes Metroid Blast a blast. It's adrenaline-pumping, interactive experience that I actually wanting to jump back into as I'm working on this video. But thankfully, we've got 2 more team attractions to try out, so let's jump right into our next attraction.
Pikmin Adventure is based off of Pikmin, a new franchise to me, as it wasn't until recently on my streams that I experienced Pikmin 1 through 3 for the first time.
You should check out my streams when you get a chance. Everyone loves to watch me suffer. But the first Pikmin, released in 2001, was completely off of my radar. I didn't even know what a Pikmin was until Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and I still didn't really even know then. So when I played Nintendo Land as a kid, I didn't play Pikmin Adventure once. Not one single time. That was a huge mistake.
Like mentioned earlier, there's a cooperative and competitive mode, with the former being the subject of discussion, entitled simply Challenge Mode. With a gamepad in hand, you take on the role of Olimar, wielding his army of Pikmin. You'll hold the gamepad in one hand to control Olimar, and then using your other hand, you'll tap the screen repeatedly to throw Pikmin onto unsuspecting enemies.
And this is kind of my only problem really with this attraction. It took me roughly 4 to 5 hours to play through this, which isn't the problem. I actually like how much there is to this one. The problem is how uncomfortable this thing is to hold in only one hand for that amount of time. Now, I probably should have taken a break, and that's on me, but this content train doesn't sleep. Unless I'm really eepy. Then, it's night-night time for Baldy.
This problem actually continued when they released Pikmin 3 a year later, but I digress. Pikmin Adventure's challenge mode is level-based, similar to Metroid Blast's Assault Mission, containing 16 normal levels and 6 extra levels. And while that sounds like less game, as I stated with how long it took me to beat it, these levels are way longer. Most levels have you doing the same thing, get from point A to B without losing all your lives. And that can be pretty difficult as you progress through the attraction. They start throwing harder and harder enemies at you, and you have to do a better job at strategizing your placement and efficiency at taking out enemies. You see, as you start each level, your Pikmin will start at level 1. The more nectar you collect, the stronger your Pikmin will get. On top of that, there are 3 different power-ups you can give your Pikmin to attack in different ways. There's the Hammer Seed, the Whip Seed, and the Knuckle Seed. All of them are very powerful in their own way, but I tended to lean towards the Hammer Seed at being my favorite, as it hits the hardest out of any of these. I would almost say you're not alone either, as they give you a stand-in me to help you, but I found them to be kind of useless. It really got in the way more than anything else, and were constantly stealing the power-ups and nectar I wanted. The only thing I found that you really needed them for was to step on switches, but other than that, I found their usefulness to be minuscule at best.
Hey man, you take out the trash for me? All right.
But there's far more to this attraction than getting from point A to point B. There's also a much more stressful version of that, where they ask you to go through a level with a short timer and collect clocks along the way to make the timer go up. The first few times they ask you to do this, it's really not that big of a deal. The levels are easy, and going through it at a normal pace isn't stressful at all. It's when you start getting towards the latter levels that it becomes a problem. Having you start with nothing but 10 seconds in a dream on a level that takes roughly 6 minutes to complete. Now that may not sound very hard, but trying to kill everything along the way in the most efficient way possible so you can add more time to the clock can get pretty stressful. And that's failing to mention that once you get to the extra levels, the Pikmin's colors matter when it comes to fighting off enemies. Up to this point, you could use whatever color Pikmin you wanted to fight enemies, but now you have to be constantly color swapping your Pikmin to make sure that you can even take down the enemies in front of you. And that, on a time crunch, is incredibly stressful. Oh right, and the bosses, I almost forgot. There are 4 different bosses that each have one different variant, and each one is harder than the last. The first few times I came across one, I thought it was a nice change of pace as I easily took him down. But then they force you to do a boss rush on the last level against all 4 and one of the variants. I felt like I was playing a FromSoft game. I was memorizing every single movement they were doing, baiting out attacks, using my useless Mii assistant as fodder. This last level had me on my toes for a while and took several attempts before I could beat it. But I gotta say, Pikmin Adventure was a blast from beginning to end.
I really wasn't expecting much from Pikmin when I played it on stream, and I certainly wasn't expecting much from it when I was playing Pikmin Adventure. But I've gotta say, these Pikmin games are awesome. I'd highly recommend them. Not only the originals, but I'd also say it's worth picking up Nintendo Land alone just to play this. I would even go as far as saying it's my favorite team attraction if it wasn't for the next one. Now, I refuse to take back what I said. It's a little hard to beat something that's literally from one of my favorite franchises of all time. The Legend of Zelda Battle Quest is based on... wait for it... 1986's The Legend of Zelda for the Famicom, or 1987 for us Americans.
The Legend of Zelda Battle Quest is a little different from the other 2 team attractions. While it does have a cooperative mode simply titled Quest, it doesn't contain a competitive mode, instead containing a time attack game, a solo mode game that has you seeing how fast you can take down enemies. A bit disappointing when comparing it to the other 2. Regardless of its lack of competitive mode, its cooperative mode does follow the same formula as the other team attractions. It contains 9 levels and 5 extra levels, and while Pikmin Adventure felt pretty balanced between the amount of levels and time played, I didn't really feel the same here. It felt like I just kind of blasted through this, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. You take on the role of Link, and if you're using a gamepad, wait, I think this is the wrong footage. If you're using a gamepad, you're armed with a bow, pulling back on the analog stick to fire and using the gyroscope to aim. And that's pretty much it. You have no other control over Link other than pressing triggers to dodge attacks when prompted. That means the entirety of this game is essentially a rail shooter. Bit of an odd choice to turn a game that's all about exploring dungeons, caves, environments, taking on powerful bosses, and solving puzzles into a rail shooter. I mean, I guess there are puzzles, if you count shooting numbered switches a puzzle. But that's not to say this isn't fun. I would play it all the time with my friends growing up, and I would try to master it when I was younger, to no avail. I realize now that I haven't even explained what the game really is, but from the footage you've seen up to this point, I imagine you have a pretty good idea. Auto walk through the level and kill everything in sight until you get the Triforce at the end. Huh, that's weird. Why did the Bokoblin have a Triforce? Anyways, that's pretty much all there is to it. It never really felt too difficult. It felt more like cheap difficulty than anything else because they would just throw a barrage of enemies at you and you have no way of positioning yourself in a way to get away from them. It's actually incredibly frustrating. For some reason, the more I think about Battle Quest, the angrier I get. While I enjoy it because it's Zelda, I don't know if playing this solo is really all that fun. In fact, it kind of feels like they were told they had to include Zelda somehow and just didn't know what to do with it. I mean, for crying out loud, they even got the count for the red rupee wrong. It's 20, not 10.
Maybe I'm being a little too harsh on it. It's not that bad. It just feels a little more lackluster than the others. So maybe I was wrong. Yeah. I think Pikmin is definitely the best out of the team attractions. Do y'all hear that? What's that sound?
Yeah, I
can't say that either. But he brings up a great point. I haven't even talked about the other way to play the solo attractions.
As mentioned earlier, you do not have to play these with the gamepad, so just for the sake of seeing what it was like, I played each of these with the Wii Remote as well. In Metroid Blast's assault mission, you're no longer on the ship, but on the ground, aiming with your Wii Remote to shoot things. This is also the only game mode in Nintendo Land that requires you to have a nunchuck to play the game, in order for you to control Samus's movements. Playing this way is pretty boring, honestly. Your movement is just far more restrictive on the ground. The missions are still just as fun, I'd say, but I just felt a lot more out of control on the ground compared to the air. Definitely prefer the gamepad here, but I'd say the opposite for Pikmin Adventure's challenge mode. Playing as a Pikmin rocks! It's the exact same game, except you don't have to worry about changing colors or hurting your wrist by tapping repeatedly. You just walk up to enemies and attack. The level up system is exactly the same, and the levels are exactly the same. Playing as Olimar was pretty fun and definitely adds more of a challenge to the game, but I think I actually prefer the Wii Remote here over the gamepad. And then finally, The Legend of Zelda Battle Quest with the Wii Remote. It feels familiar to something I've played. I can't quite put my finger on. Wait, I'm sorry, I've been using the wrong footage again. Anyways, yeah, this feels natural, like the intended way to play the game, but it's still a rail shooter, just with swords this time instead of a bow. Honestly, I think you can play this game either way and get the same feeling. The gamepad feels like a much more natural and fun integrated way to play the game instead of just doing this until you win. But I'd say you can pick up either of these and share a pretty similar experience, with me slightly leaning towards the gamepad for this one.
And that's every single attraction that Nintendo Land has to offer, except for all the multiplayer stuff, including the team attractions and competitive attractions. Well, gotta cover them somehow. I've got no choice. Time to make some calls.
Hey girl, wanna come over to my place and play Nintendo Land with me?
Sorry, man, I'm a little busy playing, Russian roulette!
What? Oh. Hey girl, wanna come over to my place and play Nintendo Land with me?
I'm sorry, but I'm way too busy trying to calibrate Guitar Hero 5.
Motherfucker!
Hey girl, wanna come over to my place and play some Nintendo Land with me?
Nintendo Land? I'd love to, but working on the Final Fantasy IX video right now.
What? I don't want to voice me. Hey girl, wanna come over to...
Sorry man, no can do. Stuck in a time loop.
Hey girl.
Sorry man, I've got some fire and flames to go through.
Why does anyone want to play Nintendo Land with me? I know! Hey son, wanna come over to my place and play some Nintendo Land with me?
Klubb, I live in New York. Also, stop calling me your son. I'm fully black.
What about you?
I'm a dude.
You?
No can do. Stuck in a time loop.
What about you? Huh?
Nintendo Land, you say? I'm sorry, but I've got to seal the door to darkness.
Sorry, man. I'm in the middle of a hunt right now.
Timmy, you shot your thing on.
But I kinda don't have a Wii U.
Why won't anyone play Nintendo Land with me? Wait a minute. I know exactly who to call. Amos, are you and Owen busy?
Oh, hey, Klubb. No, not at all. What's up?
Well, I'm kind of working on this Nintendo Land video, and I kind of
need your help playing the multiplayer games.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Sounds dope. Wants to swing on by?
Yeah, that sounds great. Are you sure it's not a problem?
No, not at all. Why do you ask?
No reason. So, see you in a bit?
Sure, just let me double check with Owen. Owen, you busy?
Nah, just doing my taxes.
Well, Klubb needs our help with some Nintendo Land footage.
Great, I love seeing Club Lizard party games.
Klubb thinks he's going to beat us all at these games. But I mean, look at me. Do I look like a loser to you?
I'm gonna kick that bitch's ass.
Oh, and you can't say that.
Why the not?
I first had the boys join me in trying out both the competitive and cooperative modes in the team attraction games. We didn't play through every single level, but I at least wanted to get some footage of what it looked like and get an outsider's perspective on a game I had been playing for a while. We started with Assault Mission and barely played it since we noticed it was pretty much exactly the same.
I just didn't really feel like forcing them to do those boss fights, you know? It just didn't seem important to subject them to that.
I had to work with Klubb, and that's not really my style.
The competitive games felt a lot different. First was surface air combat. In this game mode, it's one person with a gamepad against everyone on the surface, and this game mode can feel incredibly one-sided for a couple of reasons. If the person with the gamepad has played through the entirety of Assault Mission, i.e. me, then they're going to have a pretty big advantage.
Yeah, it wasn't fair at all. He completely kicked our...
But let's say you haven't done that. If you were given a gamepad, what would you think of this game mode?
Look, I'm not very good with gyro controls in general, so I had a pretty rough time even controlling the ship, let alone winning the game.
Oh, I understood the controls. The gamepad blows and the maps were too.
It was definitely something I noticed when we played. It didn't seem balanced towards one group of players or the other. It was incredibly one-sided, either by having too many tight spaces for ground players to hide, or way too many open spaces for the ship player to easily pick everyone off. Overall, I don't think we really liked this one, but Metroid Blast actually houses another competitive mode, Ground Battle. Now this is a whole lot more fair. No ship, just some friends living in the moment, shooting each other to the death with their Wii remotes. The way Ground Battle works is that each person has a pool of tokens, and every time you get hit by another player, some of your tokens go flying everywhere Sonic style. You can get more by picking some of them back up, or by collecting token tanks that spawn periodically. This mode is a lot more engaging and well balanced compared to surface air combat. We all actually had a great time with this one.
It was alright.
Okay, yeah, I wouldn't really call it the most fun experience I ever had, but it's also better than nothing, I suppose. It's definitely one of those games that gives off the feeling of, well, we've done everything except that Metroid game. Let's play that.
It was definitely more fun when I was winning, and it was funny to play. But I wouldn't play this unless I was playing it with friends, and I'm really glad we got it out of the way first.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Owen. Pikmin Adventure was a much better experience all around, similar to my thoughts when I played it solo. Pikmin Adventure's competitive mode, simply called Versus, is an interesting one. It has Olimar, using the gamepad, face off against a team of Pikmin using the Wii remotes, in an all-out brawl to see who can collect the most candy.
Finally, I get a chance to beat the shit out of Klubb. Klubb, these suck.
While beating each other up over candy, enemies will spawn mid-fight, and you can attack and defeat these enemies to increase the candy surplus. Or you can do what Amos and Owen did and have one person focus on the enemy while the other beats me mercilessly in a corner so I can't get any candy.
What can I say? I'm an absolute genius.
I came up with that idea, not Amos.
Nah, that was all me.
But in all honesty, Versus is kind of whatever compared to the challenge mode I covered earlier. Playing it with friends was a much more enjoyable experience than playing it by myself by a mile. Something about taking down bosses and waves of enemies with your friends is a lot more rewarding of an experience than I could have ever thought.
Oh, I absolutely agree. This was way better than that shitty Metroid game. Why'd you censor shoddy? Oh, you thought I said sh**.
Oh, 1000%. As long as Klubb doesn't force us to play as Olimar. Playing as the Pikmin was way more fun.
Yeah, the guys had zero interest in using the gamepad at all when we were playing the game. The entire time we were playing, they were having an absolute blast as the Pikmin, and after playing as them myself earlier, I think I have to agree. The novelty of playing as Olimar is nice, but it's way more convenient and fun to play as a Pikmin. Except for the part where I kept calling for my Pikmin, and it would also interrupt whatever they were doing and call them too. They would curse me to no end every time I did that.
Oh, let me tell you. You know, I think I'll just workshop these for a bit.
And we've reached our last stop for the team attractions, The Legend of Zelda Battle Quest.
Just like Klubb here, I'm a huge Zelda fan.
Amos, I told you not to wear green.
I know.
As much as I love The Legend of Zelda, I can't deny how mid this whole attraction feels as a whole. But I also have to admit, it's a lot more fun with friends, similar to how Pikmin Adventure was. But I think the biggest problem this attraction has is its lack of competitive mode, and the time attack mode leaves much to be desired. I mean, I don't know, what'd you think, Amos?
don't care. It's Zelda. I love it. I get to swing a sword.
And from my point of view, it's practically the same thing. If someone wants to play this, I'm gonna want to play it, but I never really want to play this. Most of my desire to play it begins and ends with it being a Zelda game. I wish I had a more positive outlook on this game in the end, but at least I can say it's not bad, it's just alright.
My favorite part was
Oh, my favorite part was when I looked like Link, my man, my boy. But I hated it when he was blue. Link is green, and I like green.
And now the moment you've been waiting for. Most people have pretty fond memories of this game, but I guarantee you that most of them are thinking about the 3 competitive games first and foremost. In the competitive games, similar to the Pikmin Versus and the Metroid Surface Air Combat, the gamepad player will be pitted against up to 4 players on the Wii remotes. And this actually brings up a unique problem for my particular scenario. You see, these competitive games will scale differently based on how many players you have. And in my honest opinion, the game is best played with at least a grand total of 4 people. 5 is better, but 4 will suffice.
So I pulled a few strings and I was able to get just one more person to make 4 people total. Not only that, since we had to play each game 30 times, we decided to turn it into a little tournament to see who's the best of the best. Whoever gets the most gamepad victories wins. You guys ready?
Oh, Klubb is going down. I cannot wait to see the returns on this after I take on the crown.
I mean, I'm ready, but I'm pretty sure that Owen's drive is gonna outdo us all.
Klubb said I didn't have a choice and I have to play.
Based on the series Animal Crossing, which started with the release of Animal Forest in Japan on April 14th, 2001, or released as Animal Crossing later in the States on December 14th, 2001, Animal Crossing Sweet Day has the animals, who are the Wii Remote players, work together to collect as much candy as possible to meet their quota before the Gatekeepers, played as the gamepad player, catches them 3 times. The main pull of these competitive games and why everyone flocks to them is how well executed the asymmetrical gameplay style is between the gamepad player and the Wii Remote players. Not to mention how much teamwork everyone conjures when it comes to maneuvering around the Gatekeepers.
Hey, listen, if I have to work with these chumps to bring Klubb down, then a man's just gotta do what a man's gotta do.
His name's Owen? I thought Klubb brought another homeless man into the house.
I'm the homeless man.
This game is exceptionally hard for the gamepad player. The candy the animals have to collect are spread across the island in various trees, and the island is huge. While the animals get a split screen to look at and only 1 animal to control, the gamepad player is controlling 2 gatekeepers at the same time while the map rotates around for you so that you don't get confused which gatekeeper you're controlling with your right analog stick and which one you're controlling with your left. And while in practice that sounds easy, it becomes pretty difficult to split your attention enough to watch them both at the same time and make sure you're angling your gatekeeper correctly to take out one of the animals. The biggest advantage that the gatekeeper has is the fact that the animals' heads will get larger the more candy they collect, causing them to slow down. However, if they get too close, they may opt to eject some of their candy to gain some of their speed back.
I always like going for a pincer move if I could help it. Watching them panic as I closed in was super satisfying. I'd go for a line drive maneuver if I was lucky enough. Oh, we're talking about Animal Crossing?
This is not Animal Crossing and I hate it. Not even Tom Nook would me over this hard, man. Let's just play something else.
Not quite yet, Owen. There's actually a little bit more to this. For starters, the maps, or shall I say lack of maps. I guess there's not a ton of variety you could do with Animal Crossing, but I feel like they could have tried just a little harder. Not only are there only 2, but I have an incredibly hard time telling them apart. I mean, yeah, if you stop and play Spot the Difference, of course you're going to be able to find visual differences, but when you're actively playing the game, there really isn't a lot different gameplay-wise between any of them. And while that may not seem like a big issue, it becomes a little bit more of a problem when you compare this attraction to the other competitive attractions. Don't get me wrong, I love this attraction. Anytime I bust out Nintendo Land, it's a must to play every single competitive attraction, and this attraction is no exception. It just feels like this one got a little less love compared to the other 2. Not to mention how difficult it is. If I was playing this with a kid, I would never have them play as the gatekeepers. Playing as them can be super frustrating to grasp the concept of. If a kid absolutely wanted to be the gatekeepers, I would honestly suggest that they take one side of the gamepad and someone else take the other side to make it easier for them. I'm not saying it's impossible, but if you're a pretty casual gamer, you're going to have a hard time just simply picking this up. And like I had mentioned earlier, each of these attractions have a different way of scaling the game based on the player count. Here, it just changes the amount of candy you need to grab. However, for a one-on-one game, the mode changes a bit. Instead of having to hold the candy inside of your head, you now have to bring the candy to a bunch of dishes to store it. This mode is honestly a lot easier, and I would even go as far as saying it's the only 2-player game mode of these competitive attractions that's actually fun. It's still definitely not my preferred way to play this attraction, but it's a nice option if you don't have any friends.
You're not gonna have any friends after how that match went.
I like this game. We should play it again when we're done with this tournament.
I agree with Amos. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the score. What happened, Boo?
Yeah! I love Luigi!
Amos, I told you to stop wearing green!
Never! Luigi's Ghost Mansion is based on 2001's Luigi's Mansion. Wow, 2001 was a great year for Nintendo. I feel like I'm forgetting something else that happened that year. Alright, I almost forgot. I played this game to death as a kid. In Luigi's Ghost Mansion, the Wii Remote players take on the role of ghost hunters, using their flashlights to locate and destroy the ghost, i.e. the gamepad player. This is one of, if not the best examples of asymmetrical gameplay. The ghost is completely invisible, but of course with the gamepad, the ghost will be able to see everything. The only thing the ghost trackers have at their disposal is the fact that their Wii Remotes will start vibrating the closer the ghost gets to them, leading to them pulling a...
She's on purple! No! She's on green! No, she's on green! 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 She's on me! She's on purple! Someone come over here! She's on me!
She's on me! On me! No, not that!
The franticness of this game is what makes it an absolute blast. You try your best to give good instruction on your current situation, but without knowing exactly where your enemy is lurking, you kind of just end up screaming to convey that they're close, and I love this. The ghost tracker's only means of defending themselves from the ghost and destroying it are their flashlights, and the flashlights have a very finite battery in them. This leads to most people spamming their flashlights to keep them from dying quicker, and as your battery becomes less and less charged, the beam on your flashlight becomes shorter and shorter. If your battery ever does die, you're absolutely helpless unless you can pick up one of the batteries that will spawn across the map. But who knows, there may be a ghost stalking out those batteries to finish you off. However, there are also supercharged batteries you can get as temporary upgrades to your flashlight that will cause your flashlight to not only have the longest beam it can get and do more damage to the ghost, but it can also be used to revive your fallen comrades faster than usual. That's right, you can even revive your teammates. In order for the ghost to win, they need to capture all of you, but other players can then thwart the ghost's victory by using their flashlight to revive a ghost tracker. However, it can take forever and leaves you wide open for the attack. And in that regard, this game actually feels slightly easier for the gamepad user. Control-wise, the ghost should have no problem getting around, with the only additional tool at their disposal being a charged attack that will cause all ghost trackers' batteries to be depleted if they get caught in it. But outside of that, all they really need to do is be sneaky as they dip in and out of corners and to also avoid lightning strikes since that will blow their cover.
Oh, I love playing as the ghost so much. I love messing with people and cutting in and out of corners. I especially love using the charge attack to mess with them. This game is a blast and I love it.
This is not Luigi's Mansion and I hate it. Not even King Boo would me over this hard. Let's just play something else.
No, Owen, the rest of us are still having fun, but I could see why someone might be a little distraught from certain aspects of this attraction. For instance, the maps. While there are a staggering 5 different maps, most of them are pretty lopsided towards either the ghosts or the ghost trackers, and none of them really felt fully balanced outside of the first map. In fact, most maps just feel like they outright help the ghosts, like this one map that has the knights that will vibrate your controller if you get too close to them, or this map where Amos just likes to kill us and lay us out on the treadmills.
I love watching my lifeless friends rotate in a circle. You rotating friends.
But there is actually one map that is heavily favored towards the ghost trackers, and that's this wide open map that's covered in a ton of AI Monitas that the ghost has to try and dodge. And speaking of Monita, you may have noticed in all this footage that she was always present to try and help take down the ghost. But that's just how this game scales to the player count. The fewer players you have, the smaller the map gets, and the more Monitas that will assist the ghost trackers. A novel idea to help with balancing, but it really doesn't beat having all your friends screaming at each other when you're about to get caught.
Overall, Luigi's Ghost Mansion is one of my favorites. It has one of the best uses of the gamepad in almost any Wii U game, period, and regardless of the map's balancing, it's one of the best attractions in Nintendo Land. That is, of course, outside of one. But before that, let's take a look at those scores. Holy... Amos! You kicked our butts!
What can I say? I'm a pro ghost man. I'm a ghost pro. Man. Luigi. I win. Luigi. I'm a Luigi. I win.
Okay, listen. Amos may have dominated in that attraction, but no one's taking me down in this next one. This is where I thrive. This is where I conquer. This is where I take the crown. This is...
The final attraction of Nintendo Land, Mario Chase, is based around the main man himself, Mario. Do I even need to tell you the origins of Mario at this point? This attraction is by far the best one in Nintendo Land. It's easy to pick up as both players, the concept is simple, and it's all around a blast. The gamepad player, Mario, has to play keep away from all the other Wii Remote players playing as Toads. That's all there is to it. It's a game of tag. Mario has a few seconds to go hide, and the Toads have 2.5 minutes to coordinate together to catch Mario.
I'm telling you, this is where I take everyone down. There's no way anyone is catching me as Mario. I'm a number one. I'm a superstar.
After that last run in Luigi's Ghost Mansion, I'm feeling pretty confident. I think I might stand a chance.
I'm actually a bit worried about Boo. I have a feeling that she may sweep the floor with us this round.
It may seem like the Mario player may have a slight disadvantage here being alone, but they've got a couple things working in their favor. For one, they are able to see the entirety of the map and the location of all players at all times, making it incredibly easy to juke them out. And if things get a little too dicey, 30 seconds in, a star will spawn at the starting position that, when grabbed, will cause Mario to become faster and invincible, which is a great way to reset and get further away, or to do what everyone else did and just bully Toads relentlessly until the star power wears out. But the last thing that they can do is use the map to their advantage. There's 3 maps in total, each with varying properties that Mario can use to his advantage.
My favorite map is the mud one. I love purposely taking out the bridges and then covering myself in mud so I can keep myself hidden, like Big Boss from Metal Gear.
My favorite's the slides map. I like to wait for someone to come after me while I'm on top of the slides and then juke them out. They fall all the way to the bottom. Dumb. Future Klubb's gonna miss one of these eventually.
I personally love the first one. Doesn't really have any sort of gimmick, but I love how big it is. It's really easy to juke people out around tight corners here.
Something that brings even more hilarity to the entire sequence is the fact that you can choose to have the camera active on the gamepad while you're hiding as Mario, so everyone on the screen playing as Toads can see your stupid face the entire time they're looking for you. This was present in Animal Crossing Sweet Days as well, but I didn't feel it added nearly as much as it adds here. You can see how bad your friends are at bluffing in real time, or you can see the stupid faces they like to make the entire time just because they like making funny faces. Unless you're Owen, who opted to turn his off the entire time just so he could turn it on once and do this.
I can't let people know my next move. This is a very serious matter.
This is just how I look.
It's also worth mentioning the player count differences. Mario Chase works a lot like Luigi's Ghost Mansion does, where the fewer the players you have, the smaller the map gets and the more AI it adds to compensate for the lack of manpower. In this instance, if you're only playing with 2 players, you'll get 2 AI Yoshis to assist in taking down Mario. The Toad player still has to make the final tackle, but the Yoshis will at least slow down Mario. And this is still pretty fun, but it's nothing compared to playing the game with a room full of people. But either way, I think it's fair to say that in the end, Mario Chase was by far our favorite attraction in Nintendo Land. It's such a simple concept for a game, but that simplicity can lead to hours of fun for someone, no matter how advanced of a player they are. It may be lacking in more variety when it comes to maps, but I think if I was to pick one attraction to highlight the best Nintendo Land has to offer, it would 100% be Mario Chase.
Oh, I agree. I love Luigi's Ghost Mansion because Luigi's my main man, but I can play Mario Chase for hours.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Mario Chase is where I thrive. I love this game. I demand to play it every time we play Nintendo Land, regardless of how rigged this tournament was.
Oh, thanks for the reminder. Drum roll, please. By 1 point? No!
I won? Yeah! Whoa! Yeah! Let's go! Let's go! Yeah! I knew I could do it! I knew I could do it! I knew I could! I knew I could! I knew it was easy. I cheated.
Well, even though I lost, Nintendo Land does actually house one other little side mode that I've neglected to mention up to this point.
Attraction Tour is a sort of internal tournament of sorts that—
No. I got beat once. I don't need to get beat again. I'm done. I'm out. Goodbye.
Wait, well, hold on, but Owen, you could potentially beat me. And the winner gets a game of their choice from my collection.
One more. I will do one more tournament.
As I was saying, Attraction Tour is a sort of self-contained tournament in Nintendo Land. At this point in our playthrough, Boo had jumped ship, so it was just down to Owen, Amos, and I.
I gotta use a new video game. Mine was getting a little, worn out.
I just want to beat Klubb at his own game, man.
In Attraction Tour, after selecting the length you want to play, each player will get a chance to use the gamepad on a variety of different attractions. You're not restricted to only the competitive games here, and I really like this a lot. Up to this point, the only reason to play the solo attractions outside of them simply being fun was to go for a high score. But with Attraction Tour, the solo attractions serve a much bigger purpose. Whoever gets the gamepad gets to choose from 4 random options of attractions to play and their opponent. This could be a one-on-one to see who gets the better score in a solo attraction, or it could even be one versus everyone with competitive attractions. It's completely random, but if you're one of the unlucky ones who doesn't get to participate in the attraction being chosen, then you get the opportunity to get a few extra points towards your victory by guessing who you think is going to win the match. Regardless of Owen's wish for my demise, I usually voted for him since I had the utmost faith that he was going to win, handing me those extra points I needed to win.
I was losing really bad, so I started sandbagging so Klubb would lose.
Yeah, you could also do that. I would have dominated too if he hadn't thrown at the very end, giving Amos a ton of points, blowing me completely out of the water. They then promptly jumped off of the couch and proceeded to have me take a picture of them doing this.
For me? Oh, let's go! My Little Pony! Yes! Yo, let's go! Who's number 1? Your boy's number 1!
At least Klubb didn't win on his own YouTube channel, but... Man, I'm leaving. I'm out, y'all.
Your boy's number 1! Your boy's number 1! Your boy's number 1! Your boy is number 1. Oh. Well. He is my ride, so... I should just go see myself out.
What an absolute nightmare dealing with those two. But I still love them. And that's something you don't get very often anymore, and something I think the Wii U holds over any modern day console. Nowadays, most games that are played with friends are done via the internet, and while that can of course come with its own benefits and fun moments, I miss the days when I would gather around the TV to play split-screen co-op games with my friends and family and have an actual physical interaction with them while playing. I would play games like the Wii series games like Wii Sports or Wii Party, Call of Duty, Just Dance, Guitar Hero, Mario Kart, Mario Party, or other random party games like Crash Bash, SpongeBob SquarePants, Lights, Camera, Pants. And of course, I can't forget cooperative play couch co-op like Lego Star Wars, Nicktoons Unite, New Super Mario Bros, Smash Brothers Brawl Subspace Emissary. I miss the days of playing with people literally in couch co-op. And while we do have some games that do allow this and vicariously allow it by adding an online way of experiencing your game with a friend, couch co-op is just not as big of a desire for a lot of people nowadays. We live in a world now where most people don't even want to leave their own home. They would much rather stay indoors and not socialize because the world can be a bit of a scary place. And while I can sympathize with that sentiment, I yearn to see my friends, to play games with them and have fun with them face to face. I miss the days when I would play games like Toy Story Mania or Carnival games with my family or friends, and I think the Wii U is a perfect time capsule for that era. Nintendo will always do their own thing, and with that, they never really let go of couch co-op. There are several games on the Switch that support couch co-op, both third and first party games. Heck, there are even some games that are exclusively couch co-op, like 1-2 Switch. But the Wii U, and specifically Nintendo Land, stood as, in my opinion, the downfall in couch co-op. Nintendo Land was the absolute peak of local couch multiplayer, and as the internet became more and more prevalent, more and more people started distancing themselves from each other, and couch co-op became a thing of the past. I specifically remember my senior year of high school. The Wii U had been out for a couple of years, but it was my first console I had bought with my own money, and nobody had a Wii U, so it was pretty new to everyone else. In the later years of my senior year, that was when my teachers began to give us less and less work since we were about to graduate. I built up the courage one day to ask one of my teachers if it was okay if I brought my Wii U to share with the class whenever we had finished our work. To my surprise, she said yes. The last few months, and even the first year of college, were some of the best memories I had with my Wii U. I was surrounded by a ton of people all experiencing the asymmetrical gameplay of the Wii U for the first time. We played so many hours of Nintendo Land that I don't think I could even give you a reasonable guess as to how much total game time was put into it. Actually makes me a little sad that I deleted my save file just to make this video. But putting that aside, I guess what I'm trying to say is this. I know the Wii U failed, and I know why it failed, but it's a special console to me, and I know it is to a lot of other people. So I wanted this video to highlight what I thought the Wii U did best, and that was bring people together. And I know I sucked it up at Nintendo Land and lost the tournament or whatever, but I think I can say definitively that the only reason to own a Wii U in 2025 is to play Nintendo Land with your friends and family.
Special delivery.
Oh no, I finally set the mood and then Game Master had to come in and... Oh, it's from my mom. You haven't finished the dishes yet. Thanks, Mom.
But where does Nintendo Land sit on my wheel of ranking? Let's give the wheel a spin and find out.
Nintendo Land is number 75 in the B tier. Now, I know that sounds bad, but I need to be honest with myself and remove the nostalgia goggles a little. As much of an emotional attachment I have to Nintendo Land, it's still a party game first and foremost, and I feel like there's a lack of multiplayer exclusive games with an influx of single player games. I don't know a lot of people that will exclusively boot up a party game just to play it by themselves, unless you're this sad loser, and it's for that reason that it's ranked so low on the list. The game is extremely fun to play, and I would still recommend it in a heartbeat. But let's all be honest with ourselves here. The first thing you think about when it comes to this game are the multiplayer competitive games, and there just simply isn't enough of them. But regardless of that, I still had a fun time playing it for this video, and I hope you all enjoyed the video too. I'd love to know what you all thought, so feel free to let me know how I did and which of the attractions are your favorite down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this too. I promise I read every comment, even if I don't have time to get back to you, so feel free to leave any sort of positive or negative critique for me to cry over. And if you want to get a little closer to contacting me and the rest of our community, you can do so in my socials or our Discord, which you can find a link to down below. You can even catch me on my occasional streams on Twitch as well. I actually stream some of the process to making this video as a little treat to my viewers. So if you want more of that, feel free to stop by and say hello. And along with a link to my Twitch channel and other socials in the link below, you can also find a link to my ever-changing ranking. That way you can look at my tastes as they evolve and be in absolute disgust at the fact that I put Octopath Traveler at 136. And last but not least, if you think I did a good job and you want to help support the channel with crazier bits and better equipment, you can become a member either on YouTube or Twitch, where you can get exclusive early access to information and development on my videos, access to members-only Discord channels, emojis, and badges, and if you really want to help support the channel, you can bump up your membership to get a personalized shout-out or even a custom-made drawing of you or your avatar to look like mine at the end of future videos, just like our first two Tier 2 members, Orange Sickle TV and Chance, also known as Medina. Thank you both so much for supporting the channel, and thanks to all of you who got all the way to the end of this video to support me, and to everyone that submitted a video for the phone call bit halfway through the video. You're all the best, and I love each and every one of you. Thanks for making my dream come true of getting to sit in front of my computer screen for hours and stress about writing words into a Google Doc to convey my feelings on a Nintendo game that came out 13 years ago. Couldn't do it without y'all. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope to see you next time, and I hope you continue to have a chill day.